So obviously, this session is about emotional capability and emotional balance, and so let's have a look at a few things around what that actually means. So we know that emotional capability or emotional balances arises through awareness of one's own and one's others' emotions. So awareness in the moment as they arise of emotions that are happening within us and perhaps within others um, as they arise. Okay, and knowing our own triggers, knowing what might trigger us, and then being able to make wise choices while engaging with the emotional experience. So this is about feeling the experience as it arises, and even in the middle of it, being able to make a wise choice of action. Um, um, Without necessarily suppressing the emotion and without necessarily reacting to what it wants in the moment. So that's making wise choices while engaging with the emotional experience. So then there is the knowing or the awareness of the fact that when an emotion is active, there is likely to be perceptual distortion. So perceptual distortion really means that, while we are emoting, we don't necessarily see things as they are. We tend to see things through the lens of emotion, and most of us know what that's like, and maybe know that quite often we might need to clean it up afterwards. Okay, so emotional balance implies a knowledge that there may be perceptual distortion in the moment, and that we can be alert to that in the moment. Okay, so there's that. So emotional balance is a trainable skill or a trainable set of skills, and this is important to know. So with that, if we know that it's a trainable set of skills, then we also know that it is no longer good enough to say things like, well, that's just the way I am, whether you like it or not. This is how I am, and I need to be authentic to my emotions. What I say to people that want to be authentic to their emotions is they're being authentic to all of the perceptual distortions, all of the potential overreactions that tend to happen while we are experiencing emotion. Do we want to be authentic to that, or would we prefer to be authentic to the way that we are underneath all of that? And how often is it that we emote and we do something unskillful, and we say something we shouldn't have done, or behave in a way that we rather would not, and then later on we start beating ourselves up for that? Okay, so there's that. And we also know that emotional balance or emotional capability is heavily correlated with this thing called mindfulness. And as the emotional intelligence guru Daniel Goleman, who many of you may have heard of, says, he knows that mindfulness is trainable, and so therefore emotional balance and emotional intelligence is therefore theoretically also trainable. And just as a reminder, mindfulness is simply the ability to know what is happening within my thoughts and within my emotions in the moment without an immediate reaction to what is happening in the moment, so that we can have a space to actually insert what we really care about and what might be, if you wish, a skillful response. And this is what we know. We know that some people do have a talent for emotional balance. Some people do seem to be naturally emotionally capable. But for all of us, we now know that it is trainable, and we also know that once we have trained it, there is a profound impact on our lives and our success. But with emotional capability and emotional balance, one of the first step in that training is really the belief that we can actually change our emotional set point, and the belief that it is really important that we actually do. The knowledge that for most of us in the modern world, just being an uncontained emotional unit is not necessarily useful for us today.